Hello, I'm Dr. Chandler. Welcome to your course video lecture notes, Cognitive Psychology 2. You'll do better in this course if you print the notes provided that come with this video and relate the information that I give you to your own experiences in the space provided. First, we'll do a quick review of the information processing model, focusing on some of the factors that increase the likelihood of formation of information making it from your internal or external environment into your sensory memory, from sensory memory into encoding, and then, as Bud Lightyear says, to infinity and beyond, because the amount of information that can go into storage is thought to be infinite. What makes it into sensory memory and perhaps into the following parts of memory is all about attention. And attention is all about what's relevant to you. When you walk out to the school parking lot, out of all of the cars parked there, you're likely to notice your crush's vehicle and to respond with more vigilance. Where is he? Where is she? How do I look? What is novel? You may not have been aware of your big toe until you drop a jar of peanut butter on it, and it'll take an aspirin and a lot of throbbing before you can stop being aware of your toe again. Working memory is the information that you are consciously aware of or using in a given moment, such as a phone number you tap into your phone and then immediately forget, unless it is a number that you use often. Then the number could be encoded through practice into your short-term memory. As long as you use the number, it will remain encoded and may or may not make it into long-term memory. With disuse or lacking strong emotion or relevance, the number will decay and no longer be available to be retrieved from long-term memory. So again, step 1 is sensory memory and depends upon the stimuli you attend to. Encoding is step 2, sensory memory plus working memory plus short-term memory. Step 3, storage, is sensory memory. Step 2, working plus short-term memory plus long-term memory, such as a birthday party you have often laughed about from your childhood. And step 4, retrieval, depends upon what has been practiced through elaborative rehearsal, a mnemonic, or something that's highly relevant or has strong emotional content. Remembering the smashed toe, finding the phone number, and recalling the birthday party. In fact, any stimulus in your environment that has strong emotional content will be noticed, attended to, encoded, and easily recalled at a later date. This is true even for unpleasant experiences that you would prefer to forget. Mood congruence means the experience of a comparable or like mood. This is the reason that when you are feeling happy, you're likely to recall all of your happy memories. But when you're angry with a friend, all you remember is everything that ever bothered you about this friend. And these recollections support your anger. Mood congruence is similar to state-dependent learning. What is experienced in one state, joyful, sad, drunk, or sober, is more accessible again when in that state. The difference between mood congruence and state-dependent learning is that state-dependent memories include altered states of consciousness, rather than the normal mood variations throughout a given 24-hour period. Both concepts explain why a straight or sober person cannot find the keys they last used when under the influence. But once under the influence again, they put their hand in their pocket and, I found my keys, man. The most easily accessed memories are those stored in a similar state of consciousness. Reconstruction is a memory process where meaningful information is reinterpreted in terms of existing knowledge with some amount of distortion of facts and circumstances. As described, in the previous notes, we pull disparate pieces of information stored across many specialized areas of our brain, such as sight, sounds, feel, and other stored sensations of a particular event to reconstruct a memory of an experience. The more often we consciously pull these pieces together, the stronger the memory becomes. However, strength of a memory is no guarantee of the accuracy of the memory. This graph indicates the effectiveness of different storing techniques. You can see that self-referencing, the green bar, is much more effective than either the blue bar of semantic, meaning word meaning, or the orange bar, phonemic, meaning the sounds like conditions. An example of self-referencing is that when I review symptoms of a particular psychological disorder, if you link what I am saying to someone you know, you'll be personalizing the information and you'll be much more likely to remember it at a later time. How can we improve our memory, and what are effective study behaviors? Massed practice means cramming. Cramming is not your friend. You must study in small increments and shorter study sessions over time. This strategy applies to motor skills as well as learning academic information. Cramming for an academic test is no different than waiting until the night before to learn to play an instrumental piece for a performance or learning a play for a basketball game. Simply repeating information is not a very effective memory device. You need to remember, let's say, a list of groceries, a head of lettuce, milk. This example is stolen from a bad joke. Instead of repeating and repeating the items, more effective than repetition is to touch your head and say, a head of lettuce, your chest and say, 2 bottles of milk, your crotch and say, a package of hot dogs. Now you'll remember. Those in the medical profession have devised many mnemonics to memorize information related to the human body because we are hardwired to attend to sexual cues. Once information is in storage, practice makes it easier to be accessed. So learning really is easier the second time around because the memory pathway has been created, and with relearning, the pathway becomes a superhighway. Another kind of activation of a particular association in memory is called chunking. This is the practice of grouping information into meaningful chunks or bits to form strong links between them. These are all excellent methods to store information for later use. Acronyms and chunking are examples of organization techniques, as are mapping, hierarchies, and storylines. You can think of examples such as HOMES for Lake Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior. What about Roy G. Biv? Or do you know what every good boy does fine means? When I looked up mnemonics online, I found this as an example to learn the order of the planets in our solar system. Although making a mnemonic sounds easy, you'll have an assignment to create a mnemonic, and through this assignment you will learn that making a mnemonic is hard work. This is why mnemonics do work. Unfortunately, it's a myth that our brains soak up information like sponges. Brains must work to learn, and we must learn to survive and prosper. Remember the tree for subfields of psychology and using the alphabet. These are examples of using diagrams for organization and linking new information to information that you already know. Because I'm a visual learner, I create diagrams such as the tree to help me store and later access information. And I teach this information to students to make it easier for you to remember and access course content. To do well in your academic career, you'll need to learn to create your own memory aids. Crossing sensory modalities using imagery and verbal coding is called elaborative rehearsal or processing, or dual coding. The hippocampus is the actual structure in our brain that stores the stimuli that you choose to attend to and encode. Here is an example of an elaboration to help you remember the hippocampus. Hippo, a very big animal, and campus, a place of learning. The hippocampus is a big place of learning. Memory strategies of creating a relationship, usually visual and bizarre, between two or more items that are not members of the same category is another method of elaboration or creating an acoustic link. You see how the surface of the brain is called the occipital lobe. This area is specialized to process visual information. Psych textbooks often use occipital as an example of changing a foreign-sounding word into easily pronounced words, occipital or occipital. Anytime you can cross sensory modalities, such as with a visual and some ridiculous or sexual meaning, you are more likely to be able to accurately recall the information. Another example of a mnemonic that you'll be using is called the method of loci, or loci for location. You will choose a familiar location such as your home to attach the new information. Approaching your home, pulling into your driveway, parking into your garage, going in through the back door, putting your coat in the hall closet. You can continue to follow your routine for as many steps as you need to memorize. However, I think 7 or fewer is probably best. To use this familiar location to learn the steps of the scientific method, we link these mental visuals of home with 1. Select a topic, 2. Search the literature, 3. Form a hypothesis, and etc. For select a topic, approaching my home, I will fantasize that I see one of my favorite actors peering out of my living room window. I have selected a hot topic. Pulling into my garage, I picture piles of newspapers and magazines with photos and articles of Hollyweird. I must search the literature for information on my hot topic. Next, I picture myself going inside the back door and opening a closet to put away my coat. Will the actor that I dream of be waiting there for me? How can this be real? Is there a relationship between me and Keanu? Or is there a relationship between me and insanity? These are all possible hypotheses. How can I test if I am dreaming? For the next step, create an operational definition, or to find a way to measure variables, and to use my mnemonic, we link the next mental picture of the routine of going home with create an operational definition. I'll leave this for you to complete and offer extra credit to all the responses that I receive the week the video is assigned. What happens after you hang up your coat? How can you link that to creating an operational definition? Mnemonics, memory aids, retrieval cues, priming. These are all interactive imagery methods. specifically using a familiar story, song, or rhyme, is called making a peg word system. Here the new items are connected with a peg in a story, song, or rhyme. This is how children learn to count as well as learn their ABCs. And anytime we can add movements to the song or rhyme, it will be remembered that much better. So, we're going to use a peg word system. The ants go marching one by one, the last one stops to suck his thumb. The ants go marching two by two, the last one stops to tie his shoe. The ants go marching three by three, the last one stops to climb a tree. Okay, this is a rhyme that you're familiar with some imagery. So we're going to use it again with the scientific method. So we're going to say the ants go marching one by one, the last one stops to choose a theme. The ants go marching two by two, the last one stops to search the lit. The ants go marching three by three, the last one stops to form a hypothesis. Yeah, and here's my picture of the ants searching the literature. The rhyming is poor, I know, but I didn't want to spend a lot of time on this. Hopefully you'll get the idea. So method of loci, for those with the last name of A through H, you're going to do a method of loci using the grocery store, one that you're familiar with. So you're going to use a list of research methods and a trip through the grocery store. And an example of research methods would be archival, case study, experiment, naturalistic observation, and survey. You will also use the first letter of those to make an acronym. So again, here's the list of the research methods. You can reorder them. You can even drop them, but you'll need to have 5. So if you drop one, then pull another research method such as listed in your textbook. For those of you with the last name between I and Z, you're going to do a peg word system. Remember, this is a song, story, or rhyme, so you could do Jack and Jill, row, row, row your boat, Mary had a little lamb, or something more current if you prefer. And you will insert the names of the research methods where you can creatively put them in your song or rhyme. You will also need to make an acronym using the first letters of the research methods that you choose. I'll post a due date, and you can email me your assignment or hand it in after class.